the way that Julie's body was dealt with and the parts of the body disposed of made this particularly horrendous.
It was a crime that shocked the nation and gave birth to the youngest serial killer in British history. And the way he did it was just so bone-chilling, even after more than 2 decades. This is the case of David Harker, who got bored during sexual intercourse and gruesomely killed a mother of 4 and then ate her body parts. David James Harker is a complex man. To the many people who knew him, he could be intelligent, articulate, witty, caring, and polite. And when it came to women, he could certainly turn on the charm. Women found him attractive, and he had no difficulty getting sex. He led a promiscuous life, and even when he was in a relationship, found it difficult to remain faithful. But the 24-year-old also had a darker side. He told lies and tried to impress friends and needed to be constantly in control. When he couldn't be, it resulted in drink-fueled tantrums, aggression, and ultimately violence. He spent much of his time in Stanhope Park in Darlington, so drunk on strong cider that he was frequently sick. His fantasy of killing and obsession with serial murderers was at the center of his life. But even though he was wildly known for saying everybody had either a V or an I on their chest to signify victim or innocent, nobody could have imagined the horror to which it would lead. Harker would spend hours in his flat in Harewood Grove reading macabre books and watching grisly videos. It has been said that he was more well-read on serial killers than some forensic psychiatrists. Among the literature he read were books on how to evade questions in police interviews and how to survive in prison. Yet despite his drunken and abusive tendencies, Harker had a circle of friends both wide and varied. A talented skateboarder, the former punk had befriended a number of boys younger than himself, aged between 15 and 17, probably targeted by him because he felt he could impress them with lies and control them. Many of them feared him. At Stanhope Park, Harker would sit on a bench while youngsters, often as many as 15, sat on the grass about him in a semicircle. He treated them like his disciples. He was also the lead singer in a punk hardcore band named Downfall, and was friends with a number of students at Queen Elizabeth Sixth Form College in Darlington. They did not drink like he did or have the same interests in violence, but they found him intelligent and good fun to be around. He was caring too. Prior to his arrest, Harker was planning to travel to India to do charity work, and at one stage was even organizing a charity concert. Another friend, Stephen Crane of Harrison Terrace, Darlington, said, "One of the reasons I liked Harker was because he hated bigoted people like racists." Harker had met a mother of 4, Julie Patterson, earlier in the year. One night, after drinking with Harker in a local park, 32-year-old Julie was lured back to his flat in Darlington's Harewood Grove. During intercourse, Harker became bored and strangled her. Then he chopped up the body. After the killing had taken place, Harker confided to a psychiatrist that he had chopped up his victim. Harker, who has the words subhuman and disorder tattooed on his scalp, claimed he strangled mother of 4 Julie Patterson with her tights after he got bored of her. He told psychiatrists he then had intercourse with her before chopping off her head and limbs, slicing flesh from her thigh, skinning it, and cooking it. He then ate those cooked parts of her body with pasta and cheese. He then dumped the torso in a bin bag on wasteland near Darlington Football Club. Miss Patterson's head was never found. Harker was arrested after some 25 people to whom he boasted of the killing realized that he was telling the truth and contacted the police. They found bloodstains and some of her clothing in the basement where he lived. The 6'5" tall unemployed killer bragged about his cannibal feast and claimed to be a serial killer. The moment when police found the missing woman's torso is vividly recalled by Detective Inspector Ian Phillips, who tells of waiting for first light to investigate a sack found in the undergrowth in a residential area of Darlington. Harker at first denied the crime and refused to reveal where Patterson's missing head and limbs were buried. His denial prompted a massive police operation as the entire town was swept for Julie's remains. Officers spent weeks searching a landfill site in vain before the hunt was finally called off. Harker, meanwhile, was diagnosed as having all the criteria of a psychopathic killer who felt no remorse for his crime. His story became more outrageous as he claimed to have killed 2 more people and to have committed acts of necrophilia and cannibalism on Patterson's body. In February 1999, Harker admitted to the manslaughter of 32-year-old Julie Patterson on the grounds of diminished responsibility. At Teesside Crown Court, Judge Bennett jailed Harker with a recommendation that he serve at least 14 years before any parole is considered. We will never truly know if Harker was planning his own tale of butchery or if Julie's death was simply a fantasy which went out of control during a drinking binge. If it was the latter, it might well be that in killing Julie, he surprised himself. The mutilation that followed could have been committed out of panic and desperation when he realized in the cold light of day what he had done. On the other hand, he could be a psychopath who had planned Julie's death all along. He has admitted to the Northern Echo that he wanted to be a serial killer. His downfall was his need to brag. He told no less than 28 people what he had done to Julie. A friend, Mike Farrant, said Harker had given himself the name Devilman and tried to live up to that image. When we heard he had been arrested for murder, we couldn't believe it because he could be such a good bloke. We knew he could lose it, but not like that. One thing is for certain, Harker now sees himself as a kind of chilling Hannibal Lecter type character. For more than 2 decades, Harker has refused to reveal what he did with her other body parts, even taunting his victim's family from prison with cruel notes. Helen's Law came into force in 2021 in a bid to make it harder for killers to get parole if they refused to reveal where they had hid their victim's body. The parole panel identified a number of risk factors, which make it more likely that Harker would offend, which had existed at the time of the murder. The report said, these include his willingness to use extreme violence and weapons, his distorted attitudes towards women and sex, difficulties managing his emotions, not being able to cope with life's everyday problems, and misuse of drugs and alcohol. Judge Bennett told Harker, earlier described as one of Britain's most dangerous psychopaths, "You killed her in the most terrible circumstances and dismembered her body. You glorified her death and the manner of her death. I have no doubt that given the slightest opportunity, you will kill again." Since his arrest, his appearance has changed. He has gone from being a good-looking, well-built, strong man to a lanky, insipid, and arrogant being who looks ill. In recent months, he has even taken on the appearance of what he thinks Harker the Butcher should look like. His previously shaven head, which revealed his tattooed scalp, bared the words subhuman and disorder, is now thick with dark hair. And now he boasts a full black beard, giving him the look of one of his heroes, serial killer Peter Sutcliffe. He had an emotional relationship with his parents and had not spoken to them for months prior to his arrest. From a young age, he would torture and mutilate small creatures. His youthful problems came to a head when at 16, he was sent to Deerbolt Young Offenders Institution at Barnard Castle, County Durham, for attacking 2 men and their dog. The dog later died. His parents have refused to comment about their eldest son. His mother looked pale and drawn, and said only that the family was aware of his imminent appearance in court, but that she was tired and not interested. It seemed her unconditional love and maternal instincts had been worn away to leave nothing but heartache. Do you think David Harker deserves a chance at parole? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and also subscribe to our channel for your regular dose of whodunits. See you in the next one. Until then, stay safe, stay warm, and don't get any crazy ideas.